the check, check. Cut the check, check. Cut the check, check. Cut the check, check.
If you ain't up on political game, respectfully, sir, we ain't the same. We built this country, it wasn't in vain. Red, white, and blue is our claim to fame. I don't really care what you have to say. Facts over fiction is the motto replay. Muhammad Ali came up from the clay. Grassroots built up this USA. Now knowing your history, you'll get played. Equip yourself, cause we came to slay any opponent that's up in our way. Look at Malcolm
KBLA Talk 1580. This is Freedmen Fridays, as you probably know, and we're welcoming into the space the producer of the song you're hearing right now. Uumoiya Glass is the co-founder of Emmend, the mass media group, a partner, a multimedia producer and director, and he's the producer-director of a documentary called Reparations Now, which actually followed the California Reparations Task Force. Welcome.
Hey, Dominique. How you doing, sis?
Good morning. You awake? You sound like...
Good morning. I know, right? This is quite early for a brother, but I'm here.
All right, so tell me about the song. Tell me about cut the check.
Cut the check, exactly. Well, cut the check basically means reparations, right? Pretty simple. We know that Black American descendants have been here for over 400 years, and that's where the inspiration comes from. Just cut that reparations check.
Is that actually you rapping?
That is me, my alias, Freedom X, Freedomex. I usually don't do rap music, hip-hop. Me and my father actually started out in our own kind of R&B and jazz group, but hey, I decided to take a stab at it, and since we're involved in this, political education, I wanted to actually go and do this project. So yeah.
Some folks in the in our chat room here got mad at me because I was playing, "Be Better Have My Money." That was my reparations song. Maybe they like "Cut the Check" better. I don't know, but I just need. To me, I am of the belief that if it doesn't include cash, it's not truly reparations.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, talk to me about, where you think we are with reparations. I mean, you have done a documentary, and a lot of us have been realizing that education, getting not just the general public, but Black folks to know what is happening, where we are, and what work has been done and what needs to be done next is really the urgent call at this point.
Right. Well, there's a lot of education that needs to happen right now. On our platform, Emmend the Mass Media Group, you can go into our YouTube page. We have a weekly show called Road to Reparations, where we focus on bills. In particular, the bills that the California Legislative Black Caucus are calling priority bills, and on top of that, they're calling it reparations bills. And even though, some of us advocates who are fighting for lineage-based reparations, really don't want to have to look over these bills because we don't feel that they are. But part of our platform is to actually dig into these bills. It's like a litmus test to say, hey, this is what the CLBC is claiming to say that they have
Congressional Black Legislative Caucus, for people who don't do the alphabet thing, right?
Thank you for that clarification. Appreciate that. Correct. So, the litmus test is, right, education, number one. And number two, what can we do about it? How are we action-oriented? So on our platform, that's basically what we do, just to educate people and keep people up to date.
All right. So she brought up the bills.
I don't know if you want me to elaborate.
Yeah, I do. You brought up the bills. I do want to talk about those, and we'll talk about the documentary too, but we got time. So, and of course, everyone's welcome in 800-920-1580. So there were 14 sort of main bills or ideas for bills that were unveiled by California's black lawmakers. And then there were 2 other bills that come from Senator Steve Bradford, which were related but separate. And so, those two, the 2 Bradford bills, one is basically creating a Freedmen's Bureau, right, for the state of California. And the other one is meant to set aside 6% of the new incoming rainy day or emergency funds for the state of California and putting them into a fund for reparations to fund any kind of programs that are related to reparations. Let's start with those. What are your thoughts on those 2?
Well, first of all, I believe that in order to create anything, maybe a government, maybe business, you got to have a plan.
Yeah.
Right? You got to have some type of apparatus to start from. And one of those is the SB 490. And that's the bill called, it's basically the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency that they're supposed to hopefully develop specifically for those lineage-based descendants who's been enslaved here in California. So that's one. So you got to start the foundation. And then after you start the foundation, then there has to be another apparatus to disperse those payments. And don't quote me, but I believe it's SB 1331, also by Stephen Bradford.
Yeah, I think that's
they're
right.
calling the bill, like the Fund for Reparations and Restorative Justice. Yeah.
Well, that's meant to create
that's
meant to create a pot of money. I think wouldn't the
Correct.
Freedmen's Bureau itself be the disbursement hub? And not that it would have to be, but it looks like that is the most likely. And what I've found out is that is why some folks actually oppose this, because they would like to see those funds distributed not by the government.
Yeah, Dominique, and I'm glad we're having this conversation because I think it's very imperative and it's very important. And first of all, I want to thank you. I probably didn't thank you in the beginning, but I appreciate you actually having these Freedom Fridays. So big ups to you. Shout out to you. But the thing is that historically speaking, right, and maybe we can even talk about the Freedmen's Bureau, and not just the current Freedmen's Agency here in California, but actually the historical context of the Freedmen's Bureau, right? I know sometimes as Black people, we have issues with the government, especially the harms that have happened to us, historically speaking here. But that's where the money's at, right? That's where government funds other entities to get things done. So I know there's some hesitation in that, but that's where we got to go to get it, and the reparations is over.
I mean, to me, the most convincing argument about the government, because I too have mistrust of our government, and for many good reasons, logical reasons. Yeah. But they're really good at distributing money when they feel like it. And I think the pandemic stimmy checks that everybody was so happy about is a perfect example of that. When the U.S. government decides they want to find you and give you a check or take your money, they're really good at it. And so to me, that is an argument for having any actual cash reparations payments dispersed by a government agency.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that, I probably forgot to mention is that the SB 490 bill to create the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency, also CAFA, is going to be an accountability measure, right? We need something that's going to oversee this process, right? You have to have that apparatus, going back to that, to oversee these processes, because that's, one thing. We actually haven't had a specific entity within the government to say, look, you guys are doing these things. We need to oversee what you're doing. Now, the Native Americans, right, they have the Indian Bureau of Affairs.
The BIA,
and if we want to go, correct, if we want to go historically speaking, and don't quote me, but I believe the Indian Bureau of Affairs, or the Bureau, BIA, started in 1824. Right?
I don't
And it's
know that. I don't
continued
know that
since.
date, but yeah, it's still in action.
Don't quote me, but I think it's been a while, right?
Right, no doubt. I mean, but
So,
my only, well, not only, but my serious concern about government involvement, and I assume that there would be government involvement, but this also crosses over into this, you know, how you handle a lineage based program. Is that I would not want to see the welfareization of reparations, where you have to go in, you know, as a kid who grew up on SNAP, what we used to call food stamps when I was a kid. You know, they humiliate you. They eliminate a lot of people who should receive that aid. They put all kinds of weird restrictions on your family life. And that was is my concern, continues to be my concern with any system, you know, especially let me see your ID system that is processed by government, whether, you know, and certainly the lineage base, you know, could potentially set up barriers that could stop unhoused or other deserving Black Americans from getting their due.
you know, that's a good point. Actually, through the California, what is it? See, I keep getting these acronyms mixed up. The California Task Force, during those hearings, we talked about that, right? Like, what would the Freedmen's Affairs Agency look like? Is it going to be actually part of the government? Can this be independently ran? And so we have to, you know, kind of think about that. You know, what's the alternatives and the opinions here? And I understand some of the frustration.
Be intentional about it, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and so, I know you kind of, you referenced this, but you didn't go in on it. You referenced something that quite a few people have been saying, which is that they feel some of the proposals put forth by the Black legislators here in California are not reparations. They might be good. They might be something that we want to do, but they shouldn't be categorized as reparations. Can you give me an example of one of those and why you don't think it's reparations?
Yeah. Well, we could start with, let's see. I know there was one in particular that we went over the other day. I mean, let's see.
I mean, I can go down a list and you can tell me.
Joan Sawyer. Yeah, let's go down the list.
Okay, so the amend the California Constitution to permit the state to fund programs for specific groups of people that help increase life expectancy, improve educational outcomes, lift them out of poverty. That's ACA 7. I think that is, I can't remember which legislator put that one forth. Is that reparations?
I think that was Jackson. Yeah, I think that was Jackson. And is that reparations based on the litmus test? No. I mean, it's kind of like a free for all, do everything for everybody. And if you base it on that litmus test, absolutely not.
When you say, okay, refresh my memory about the litmus test.
Okay, so the litmus test is basically the concept of idea, and there's usually 5 forms of reparations, which is based on the UN, the council,
right,
who decided to do it. So there's restitution, compensation, rehabilitation, satisfaction, and guarantees of non-repetition.
Right.
So once we look at those 5 forms and we compare that, and then we also say, is there an eligible class that this particular legislation is referring to specifically? Then you have to say, in particular, ACA 7 is not specifically just for Black people, American descendants.
Right.
And
well,
it doesn't even fit these 5 forms, right? So, no, I would definitely not call that reparations.
We're talking with Uumoiya Glass. He's the producer and director of a documentary called Reparations Now, following the California Reparations Task Force. Continue the conversation. I want to hear about this documentary. I'm sure you saw and heard some elevating, enlightening, and probably challenging things along the way. I want to touch on those when we come forward. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
We must understand the politics of our community, and we must know what politics is supposed to produce.
This election year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the place for politics. Unapologetically progressive politics. And we've got two of the best and brightest to help you cut through all the noise. Weekdays at 1 p.m., it's A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nicolai Corte. And at 4 p.m., it's Areva Martin in Real Time. He's the university professor and distinguished member of the White House Correspondents Association. She's a best-selling author and Harvard-trained civil rights lawyer. And they are both here every day to help guide you through all the this year, because you know it's going to get deep. Get your politics on weekday afternoons at 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. with A More Perfect Union, hosted by Dr. Nicolai Corte and Areva Martin in Real Time, only on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your flag.
Are you wet shaving? You'll get razor bumps.
Nah, Pops, I'm good with Gillette Skin Guard. How long you been growing that beard Mama hates anyway?
Since 77. I shaved and got ingrown so bad.
That's why I use the Gillette Skin Guard razor, face scrub, shave gel, and moisturizer. So I don't have to worry about new razor bumps or shaving irritation.
Gillette Skin Guard, huh? Your mama's gonna love this one.
The best a man can get keeps getting better with Gillette Skin Guard. Buy now at a retailer near you.
Tax Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a new Samsung Galaxy A15 for just $99. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah! Good talk.
Switch to Straight Talk for plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. In-store activation on single Silver Unlimited plan or higher required. Family plan discount with 4 lines all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm-fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Talking with Uuimoiya Glass. He's a producer, director of a documentary called Reparations. Now, we were going through these bills. We can speed through the bills. Want to talk about your documentary. But first, we're going to go to Emmend calling us from L.A. Hi, Emmend. You're on with Mr. Glass on KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay. Good morning. I didn't hear all the stuff from the beginning, but I know on Fridays we talk about reparations, and I was thinking that we should be more focused on who are the obstacles or the enemies of reparations, and we should kind of like target them for, do you remember Larry Elder? Larry Elder,
of course.
Right. He made a lot of people mad back in the day, and
every day.
This group held meetings, and what they did, they passed out all these postcards to Larry Elder's sponsors, and they listed the grievances that they had against Larry Elder, and Larry Elder's show it struck down 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours. You know what I mean? And he was
they really they impacted him greatly when with that corporate ban. Yeah, I mean I'm always for boycotts and voting with our dollars.
We need to fight back. We need to fight and have something that we have, and we don't purchase power. That's the power we don't have.
But the thing with you're talking about the federal reparations right now, right?
I'm talking about just wherever the people are standing in our way, fighting us about reparations, whoever it be. We should be more laser focused and more organized as getting them out of the way, or give them some type of pain. You know what I mean? So,
so what are your thoughts on that, Uuimoiya? Let's have him respond to what you're saying.
Thanks, good brother, for that commentary. Appreciate that. I mean, look, I think that's one strategy, to kind of focus on opposition, where they're coming from, how they're coming about doing it. But at the same time, we kind of have to focus on what we need to focus, and that's with this legislation right now. And one action that people can do is go to cjec-official.org and sign up and get involved, because that's where, the bills happen. That's where the meat's made. If you eat meat, I don't eat meat, I'm plant-based. But, wherever you need to go, we need to get involved with legislation. They're the ones that are writing the bills, right? Sometimes as Black people, and, brother, this isn't, just for you. This is for me, too, and everything. Sometimes we don't get out of focus, and we need to get back in focus. And one of my, I just call them like, I don't want to say maybe elders, but kind of my inspiration is Dr. Amos Wilson, and he does a great job of focusing and analyzing and get to where we need to get to. And so even though we do have opponents, we do have opposition out there, and that it's going to happen. It's going to happen in all aspects of our lives. But when you're laser focused at something, that's where, you get things done. Go to your district senators and assembly and talk to them, right? I mean, I know we're on this phone, but go to them.
Well, you're on the radio right now. You're on the radio right now.
Yeah, we are on the radio.
Right. But I mean, you're right. And one of the things I've done in a recent editorial is giving the number for the offices of the California Legislative Black Caucus, because I feel like if we are serious about wanting them to move off of vague proposals, what I call goofy proposals that aren't really reparations, and be bold in going after cash, we got to let it be known. So I'm asking folks to call. I mean, I think that's one thing we can do, right? And it's sort of kind of a bit of an amen to what you were just saying. We've got to put the pressure on, because there are bills on the table right now, and we are making progress. So I feel like we got to hold the line. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I do. As a matter of fact, I was going to comment, but what would be kind of, since we're having this dialogue, Dominique, what would be kind of one of your solutions in terms of where we're at right now with reparations?
Well, I think we need to go ahead and pass the two Bradford bills, because those put in place actual structural things that can help us get to the next step. And I think that, I'm not a lawyer, but I think we need to lawyers and lawmakers sit down and come up with a bill that actually authorizes cash reparations. Now, they're going to say, and they are saying, that we're in a bad budget season and that it's not popular with the people. But to me, you put the legislation in place, and then you can figure out the timeline for when those actual payments are going to come in. If Bradford's bill is in place and 6% of incoming rainy day funds are coming in, that's a start. Maybe it's paid out over a timeline. Maybe some of it is tax relief. I mean, those obstacles can be worked out, but I feel like we need to strike while the iron is hot and have an actual piece of legislation that says, qualifying Californians, Black Californians, get reparations, cash reparations.
And direct cash payments on top of it, right?
Cut the check.
Cut the check. Yeah, straight up.
So what's your version of that? I mean, how does that look in your opinion? We got just a minute and a half here, 4 minutes before news, and then we'll continue on the other side.
Okay, so a minute and a half. I'll try to be brief in this minute and a half. Yeah, I'll just elaborate with what you're basically saying. I mean, we just got to go back to infrastructure and what that looks like, and legislation. How these things are written. I was before I got into this political space, I was involved in entertainment, right? And so when you kind of look at how bills are written, like yourself, I am not a lawyer, but like once you study and you understand the process, then you know how to engage with the process. And so it is a political process. It is political education. But as you were saying, well spoken, that sounds like a great plan to me. So hopefully we're under a minute before we go to break. But you pretty much took the words out of my mouth.
I mean, I love that. I could tell you're a producer of film because a minute and a half actually means something to you. You're sitting here clocking the seconds. Most people, you tell them that and they'll still talk for half an hour. But when you produce film and video, those seconds mean everything because you got to hit your posts and you gotta fit things in the space that we have for them. But when we come forward, I do want to hear about your journey on your film reparations now and what we can learn from your education as a filmmaker. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A second flight of American citizens fleeing Haiti has landed safely in the U.S. A charter plane carrying 80 Americans landed in Miami Thursday. The State Department has encouraged all U.S. citizens to leave Haiti as political unrest and gang violence there escalates. In Mississippi, the last 2 of the 6 former Rankin County law enforcement officers known as the Goon Squad were sentenced to lengthy federal prison terms Thursday. Former Rankin County Sheriff's Deputy Brett McAlpin was handed a sentence of over 27 years, and former Richland police officer Joshua Hartfield was sentenced to more than 10 years. The sentences came after all 6 former officers admitted to beating and sexually assaulting 2 black men in January of 2023. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Robert Half research indicates 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Their recruiting professionals use proprietary AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers should be well rested. They've been off since Monday. The Lakers are back in action tonight against Philadelphia at Crypto.com. The Clippers are in Portland tonight. A tall task for the Grambling State men's basketball team today in the NCAA tournament. The SWAC champion takes on Purdue and their 7'4" center Zach Edey, the 2-time National Player of the Year. Purdue is the number 1 seed in the Midwest Regional. Grambling is the 16th seed. A year ago, Purdue was the number 1 seed in the Midwest and made the wrong type of history when they lost in the first round to number 16 Farley Dickinson. It was the first time a 16 had beaten the number 1 since the NCAA tournament expanded to 64 teams in 1985. A lot of HBCU supporters will be watching Grambling and Purdue to see if it happens again. 4:25 p.m. tip-off today on TBS. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
So you just used bug spray in your home. Now what? Well, between the waiting and waiting for things to dry up and keeping your family away from the mess, it hits you. You could have used Zevo. Unlike other bug sprays that stick around, Zevo goes from kill to clean in seconds. Plus, it's safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Zevo, people-friendly, bug-deadly.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
LADWP is proud to partner with KBLA to share with you how to start the new year without bill worries. We're here to help if you're behind on your bill or need help staying current. Sign up anytime online for Level Pay to set predictable monthly payments throughout the year, including for past due amounts. You can also check out the special extended pay arrangements of up to 48 months to help pay down your bill. If you're a senior or income qualified, you may be eligible for Easy Save to receive discounts and also qualify for free and discounted energy and water saving devices. You can get up to $15,000 for past due water and or sewer bills and up to $3,000 for electric bills. But you gotta act fast. Funding is limited. You can reduce your past due bills and kick off the year right, because here at LADWP, we're here to help. Visit ladwp.com/cares today and find out more.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California, home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for Black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Aviterus, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for Black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the Black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@KBLA1580.com. That's advertising at KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got you Black.
Tax Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a Samsung Galaxy A14 included when you buy an extended Silver Unlimited plan. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah!
Switch to Straight Talk. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. Taxes and fees apply.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Talking to one of the founders of Emmend the Mass Media Group, ETM Media, Uuimoiya Glass, and you mentioned we can find you on YouTube. That's a great place to find you. It's EMMEND, Emmend the Mass Media. Is that the address on YouTube as well?
Yeah, I believe it's at ETM Media Group.
Okay, at ETM Media Group.
At ETM Media Group, yeah.
And so we were talking before the news, traffic, and sports, and talking about what we would like to see. Somebody called in who joined the conversation late and heard me say support, let's pass the Bradford bills. She wanted us to explain what that meant. We're talking about two bills that are connected to the reparations package, but they're not part of the main 14 that Black lawmakers put forth in this state. One creates a Freedmen's Bureau. It's SB 490. Is that right?
That's correct.
And the other one is creating a reparations fund that would set aside new money that's incoming with, the rainy day fund, meaning money that they save for an emergency or, a need, putting 6% into a fund specifically for reparations. And I'm saying that we should call and lobby our lawmakers to try to get them to support those two specific bills. You want to add to that, Uuimoiya?
Yeah, I believe that bill you're referring to is SB 1331.
Yeah.
I think that's SB 1331. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have to understand that when we're going through this process to repair, the past harms, is look at these bills. Well, first of all, the CLBC, they're calling their priority bills reparations bills, right? That's what they're calling that. And so when we do look at the two bills that you mentioned, we have to look at it and say, hey, is this something that's going to benefit the community, not just everybody and not just individual people, but those who are going to be the eligible class? And so, yeah, that's just my two thoughts on that.
I mean, honestly, I don't see how we could argue that. Well, I can see how you could say you didn't support one of those bills, but I don't see how you can make the argument that they're not reparations. I mean, the reason I called this Freedmen's Friday is because when we first, when slavery was first abolished, we were categorized as freedmen. And to me, that debt and those obligations, the work of the Reconstruction, the unfinished work, was promised to the freedmen. So it's not that I'm trying to make one group versus another group. I just need it to be reparations. We talked about ACA 7. You said that wasn't. ACA 8, which amends the California Constitution to prohibit involuntary servitude for incarcerated people, which I think is a great idea. Is it reparations?
Excellent idea as well. Great idea, and they need to abolish involuntary servitude, aka slavery, here in California for sure. But no, it's not reparations. I mean, if you want to argue, it may be part of the, I don't know, maybe restitution, maybe guarantees of
it might be part of abolishing slavery, right? It might be part of abolishing slavery. Yeah. Well, I was shocked that didn't pass last year. I mean, Louisiana passed it, but not California. ACR 135, which would formally recognize and accept the state's responsibility for the harms and atrocities of state representatives who promoted, facilitated, enforced, and permitted slavery. I do see that as reparations. I've heard some folks arguing that it's not. Where are you on that?
Okay, so, if we put it in the category of apology, and I'd like to hear your thoughts, too, about this as well, maybe that is a form. At least acknowledging, the harms that have happened. So that is a part of, the reparations process. I don't know. I guess it could be, some people can argue it is reparations or it's not reparations. But yeah, there is a part that needs to be acknowledged.
It's called human rights violations and crimes against humanity on African slaves and their descendants. I think that even if it's not formally reparations, it makes reparations stronger and more viable. So I would put that in the category because it's why lawyers always tell you don't apologize, because then you can be liable.
Right.
And we want them to be liable. So to me, all right, well, if we go through all of these, we won't have time to talk about your film, which I do want to talk about. But I have to ask about AB 1815 prohibits discrimination for hairstyles. Don't we already have the Crown Act? I'm confused.
Yeah, no, I know in some of our sisters and I don't know, some of our brothers out there, that get their hair did, may appreciate that bill. But yeah, it's not reparations. Let's just call it what it is.
Well, okay, so this, I think, gives you a sampling of why people are being critical of, myself included, being critical of many of these bills. But I think it's important to know what we do support so we can put our weight behind it. Let's talk about your film. You followed the task force. When did you start, and what was this journey like for you?
Ooh, Dominique, you always bring those hard questions.
That's
all
my
right,
job.
So, yeah, isn't it? It's interesting. Actually, I would love to have you on our platform if you're ever open to it.
Absolutely.
We can have a further dialogue.
Absolutely. Always open to that.
Yeah, would appreciate that so we can build on, the platform. But it started actually, and I want to give a shout out, and I think you're having my business partner, Kim Mims, on after.
Yeah, she'll join.
This hour.
Yeah. Yes.
And so it basically started before the bill known as AB 3121, which was the bill to established the California Reparations Task Force to give what they're calling recommendations right now.
Okay, so you started
And-
before the task force even was formed.
Correct. Excuse me. I just had to get a drink of water. Yes. So we started before the task force was formed. As a matter of fact, and don't quote me, and you could probably even go back to our YouTube page. Like, I think we even started like a year-ish before. And so I approached my then partner, Kim, because I think we met at a reparations gathering of some sort with our good brother, Chris Lodson, who's one of the leading organizers for CJEP. And so we met there, and she actually has a background in media as well. And so we just started talking, and we shared the same interests. And I was like, hey, do you want to, start this? And so we just started documenting stuff on reparations and other news and stuff that was going on in California. And as the reparations conversation started to pick up, that's when we said, okay, I think we really have something. And we didn't really see any other media at that particular time specifically focusing on reparations. And so we said, especially here in California, as they say, so goes California, so goes the nation. We said this would be a good opportunity for us to start documenting. So we went and we created Emmend the Mass Media Group, created the YouTube page. And then as AB 3121 started progressing, we started documenting that. And after AB 3121 passed, we said, okay, what's the next steps? I mean, we have, all this information. What are we going to do about it? So once the California Reparations Task Force started kicking off, we documented that. And then we've been talking to the community. We have another section on our platform called Boots on the Ground. And so we kind of used all the concepts to what would eventually become Reparations Now, the documentary. We went all the way up to Weed, California, and some people may not know. I'd probably say a lot of people, even fellow Californians who've lived here for years, don't know about Weed, California, and the Black community up in Weed, California, all the way down to San Diego. So we do have some documentary things in the documentary as well, following the task force. But we also have, we talked to the community as well to get their feedback, to see how they felt about reparations. And some of the people, I know some people feel a certain way about being called elders, but we went to the community, talked to our senior citizens, some of our older, quote unquote, Black folk, to get their feedback.
I think there's a new term, older adults. I'm trying to keep up.
Thank you for the PC term.
Older adults. Well, I think it's a
Older
respectful
adults,
term,
all
because what does PC really mean? It means call people what they want to be called. Be respectful, I guess. Anyway, we're talking with Uuimoiya Glass. We'll continue the conversation. I can't wait to hear how we can see this documentary, what things along the way really surprised you, what made you feel strong like we're going to get this done, because I know you saw and heard a lot along the way. That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. Visit jpmorganchase.com/racial equity and get the tools to help reach your financial goals.
Imagine with me here for a minute the most beautiful panoramic setting. Maybe it's an endless ocean, waves crashing on a beach, or a crystal clear mountain lake, peaceful and quiet. Or maybe it's just little kids playing in the park down the street. Wherever your imagination takes you, now imagine right smack in the middle of this perfect picture, a piece of litter. Just one piece right there in the middle of it all. Doesn't exactly fit, does it? In fact, even though it's just one piece, now it's all you can see. That one piece ruins everything. And that's the thing about litter. It doesn't take much to ruin everything. One thing's for sure, it simply does not belong anywhere in California. So here's the good news. If we work together, we will change it. We don't have to let litter, even just one piece, ruin your perfect picture. Not anymore, not ever again. Clean California, zero litter is the goal. Brought to you by Caltrans and CleanCA.com.
Hey, I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about down there? You know, my...
Totally. 4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness from my pits to my...
Ooh, I love that it's a spray.
Me too. And it comes in sticks and creams too. Go get your Secret Whole Body Deodorant.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, I want to make sure I do not forget, how can we see your documentary for ourselves? Uuimoiya Glass?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So right now, it's on Tubi. So for those that do have access to the internet, you can go to Tubi. You can watch it in its full glory. Right there. Just go to Tubi, type in Reparations Now documentary. You can also go to reparationsnowdoc.com. That's reparationsnowdoc.com. And we're actually putting up behind-the-scenes content as well. There is a little subscription fee, and we'd appreciate the support. But, yeah, you can go there as well.
You mean you actually have to pay for that documentary? I mean, you had to pay to make it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not for free.
You got, yeah. Filmmaking is expensive business, even when you do it digitally. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were fortunate enough. We did, and shout out to the Sacramento Film Commission. We did receive, it was a minimal grant, but we did receive a little money. And shout out to those who did support. We did raise a little money for the documentary, but all that money went basically back into the business.
Right. So reparationsnowdoc.com if we want to chip in on, helping fund the work that you've done. And if you want to see it for free and watch commercials, you can go to Tubi and watch the Tubi commercials. So what were you inspired by along the way in talking to the people and watching the task force? What really made you feel hopeful we're going to get this done?
Just giving the feedback that I got from the community, and just talking to people, especially when you go up to places like Weed and Allensworth, and just seeing the history that Black Americans have contributed here in California specifically. I mean, we would love to do it in every state and across the nation, but we have to start where we need to start here in California. So that was very inspirational. At least for me, I learned a lot. There's things that I didn't know, about California, and there's things that I'm still learning. I'm sure there's things that we're all learning, but getting feedback from the people, there was some skepticism. But for the most part, people were definitely adamant and very progressive in getting these reparations, because at the end of the day, we know that it's owed.
What kind of, when you say skepticism, what kind of feedback were you getting?
Some of the things that we've talked about throughout the program. I don't trust the government. The harms that have happened to us. It makes sense. I get it, and I totally understand. But that's some of the skepticism that we did get back in front of the feedback. Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons we have to keep talking about it. And whether or not you love Barack Obama, I remember very vividly when he first started running and I was on the radio, Black people, especially older adults, telling me it ain't going to happen. There's never going to be a Black president in our lifetime. And, regardless how you feel about President Obama, it did happen. And I was arguing with Black folks who told me it's not his turn anyway. We're supporting Hillary. And I was like, wait, what? So I feel like overcoming skepticism is going to require reminding us of all of the things we've accomplished, not just that, but many others that we would have never thought possible. FaceTime. Okay, we'll continue.
I know, right?
We'll continue the conversation with Uuimoiya Glass when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
I can't believe tax season is here already. Look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Uumoiya Glass is my guest this hour for Freedmen Fridays. He is director and producer of Reparations Now, the film available on Tubi. You could also go to their website and show some support for these folks, reparationsnowdoc.com. Get some behind-the-scenes footage as well. You know, you were talking about some of the, I guess, resistance or skepticism, but also some of the inspiration that you found along the way. What do you think people may have missed about the California Reparations Task Force that you observed as a filmmaker that you could share with us right now?
Dominique, another great question. I appreciate these questions. I think something that people would have missed, and I'm glad we had the chance to document this, is for those that weren't, as we're calling, in the building, that weren't there, that energy, right? That's something that, if you weren't there in the building, you definitely missed that. I know, unfortunately, some of the task force meetings were held during people's work hours, and the community kind of pushed back on that and say, hey, we need some of these meetings on the weekend so the community can support, what's going on here and give feedback to the task force at that particular time. But the energy was so phenomenal, and it was good to see your folk and your family in there having these conversations. And some of them were a little heated, not going to lie. But, yeah, at the end of the day, that's what it was about for me, right? Just the energy, capturing that energy, getting feedback from the community, and understanding that we have to move forward, and that's what we're doing right now.
I mean, and sometimes we don't have to be afraid of that heat. I mean, I know that there's stuff that happens online that may or may not be productive, but sometimes you got to go through the fire and go through those, disagreements and whatever to to find our way forward.
Yeah, exactly. There is a book, and I want to actually give a quick shout out to our great supporter, and also she's wonderful, Darlene Crumity. She has been just a steadfast supporter and contributor to our platform in the Mass Media Group. So I got to give a shout out to her. But she recommended a book called Fear Something. I can't remember what
she's probably going to say, because she's in the chat right now.
Oh, is she in the chat? Yeah,
she's in the chat right now, yeah.
What the book is called. But that's one thing. We have to face our fears and do it anyway. And I'm not even going to lie. I'm not a big speaker, a public person at all. Actually, I'm somewhat of a reserved person. But at the same time, we just have to face those fears. Even this interview, I was like, oh, I'm sweating. I'm like, oh, no, what am I going to say? But Dominique, you're a great interviewer, so I appreciate you.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I appreciate you spending your time with us this morning. You got 30 seconds. What do you want to share on the way out? And I know your partner, Kim, is on the way in, and we'll take phone calls as well.
Wonderful. Well, I just want to, first of all, give a shout-out to my ancestors. That's number one. I want to give a shout-out to my mother and father. Yeah, because without them, we wouldn't even be here, right? Give a shout-out to everybody in the community, and just, peace and reparations, and let's go get it.
Let's go get it. It's time for you to call me, 800-920-1580, news, traffic, and sports. And then it's the reparations conversation, the clapback, the unpack on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Net. Sentenced to lengthy federal prison terms Thursday. Former Rankin County Sheriff's Deputy Brett McAlpin was handed a sentence of over